Yeah.
You would do 10 seconds. Like,
do some good work. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of We Are Fio,
figuring it out.
Yep, I hope you enjoyed our previous What I Wish I Knew. And I hope you've also just touched base with your friends to think about some of the things that we've been talking about. If you haven't, make sure you follow us across socials on
We_R_Fio.
Exactly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or the notification bell so that anytime we release a new episode, hauanzi kutafuta watu kuuliza kama kuna episode. You already know, right? And yeah, my name is Wamboe Mwihake.
And I'm Gina Chore.
And we're here to talk about what we wish we knew about sex.
And intimacy. So
yeah, sex and intimacy. And we're going to be sharing some of the things that we personally wish we knew. But we also put this out on socials, and we had a lot of people sharing what they wish they knew. So we're also going to share that and have a conversation around it. Yeah, and I think we can get started. How are you feeling about shooting a conversation around sex?
Like I am not fully equipped to handle it.
Yeah.
But we wing it.
Yeah, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Mtu hata anaweza kuwa shy.
I know.
Right?
It's like, stop.
Yeah. But let's do hard things. Let's do them hard things. All right. We can start with the first one, and I can share, which was something I shared on IG. What I wish I knew about sex and intimacy is the role of your body confidence in it. It's a critical role, right? Because sex means you're naked in front of someone, right?
Yeah, unless you do it any other way.
Yeah. Sex means you're naked in front of someone, and sometimes if you're not confident in your body, sometimes you can be like in your head a lot. And when you're in your head a lot, it means you're not enjoying the experience, which is always like it can feel awkward. Like, how do I look when I'm in this position? Does my bum look this way? Does my back look a certain way?
Yeah.
So you're always in your mind, and if you're always in your mind, it means you're not there in that experience.
Yeah.
So sometimes even the other person enjoys sex, and you're just left like, okay, what is the hype around sex? It's not even that big of a deal. So yeah, I think that's what I wish I knew, that your body, sometimes when you are not very confident in your body and it goes into your head, you don't enjoy the experience.
That's true.
If you're with somebody you're comfortable with, some of these things, they don't matter. So you're able to enjoy the experience better.
But
yeah,
that is true. But I'm thinking it's kind of a double-sided coin. On one side, you are confident in your skin. What about your partner?
Yeah, it can also be the other side where maybe they are not that confident in their guys. If a guy is not confident, you're like, hey, you're there to do all the work.
Yeah. So now the question that I wanted to ask was, you find, this statement of you can start dating someone and they want to slim you down or they want to fatten you up. Yeah. So if you do not date your type, then that would always come up and that would interfere with your confidence, in as much as you are confident in your own skin.
Yeah.
If your partner keeps on putting you down on, no, you should go to the gym, or maybe you should eat more. I like people who have thick thighs. I like, So like, even if you're confident in your skin, you'd find your partner can also put you down based on what their preferences are. So in that regard, confidence in your skin and knowing your partner is like also confident in your skin.
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
What about you? What do you wish you knew about sex and intimacy?
well, what I wish I knew about sex and intimacy is if you're not comfortable with the partner that you have, you might not get there. Actually, this ties into your body. You might not reach it. Like it's just out of reach, or even completely off the
you might
ballpark.
not orgasm.
No, you might not.
Yeah.
Told you shy. So if you're not comfortable with the partner that you have, it wouldn't. Also, selfishness. Like it's a reciprocal kind of. So I give, you take, you give, I take. So it's, yeah, so if you're not comfortable with your partner and they do not reciprocate, now this ties into, you know how you can have a conversation with someone and then the oral aspect comes in, they're like, me. Oral. Who am I?
Yeah.
Whom are you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a problem because then if that is something that gets you there every single time and they do not want to do it, if you're not comfortable with your partner to even mention that,
to explore.
yeah.
Okay, got you.
It's usually
so what you wish you knew was
communicating about it and reciprocating. That reciprocal aspect, it's a cycle between me and you. And then for you to get there, you have to be comfortable with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else do I wish I knew about sex and intimacy? The longer the session doesn't mean the more satisfied you get or you are.
That is true.
Right? Because sometimes you can think that if you're having sex for longer, then it means like you're doing it right. Right? Or
Yeah.
like I think that's it. Like if the session is longer, it does not equate to the experience is awesome. Sometimes it can be a shorter experience and it's really, really good. And sometimes it can be bursts of shorter experiences within some time. And
Yeah.
it's also okay. And I think that's something that I wish I knew, that it doesn't, the length of the period of sex doesn't equate to you've had good sex, right? Because if that's the only thing that you're looking at, okay, how much time did we have sex? Oh, okay, then it means that was good sex.
No.
Yeah, there's no correlation.
But also that does not excuse 2 seconds. That does not give that is not excuse just because you would do 10 seconds. Like
do some good work.
No, okay. Yeah, so that does not excuse it, but it does make sense. Like a longer session does not mean a satisfying session.
Yeah, like even for girls, like for a lady, sometimes when it takes longer, it becomes very irritating also.
Yeah, you can dry up.
Yeah, you will dry up. It means you might get bruised. So it's always not.
And then the mentality of just finish.
Like, what are you doing? Like, massa. So yeah.
So yeah, actually, I agree. A longer session does not necessarily mean satisfying session.
Yeah. And then it also depends on like where did we start, why is it taking longer? Because also for ladies sometimes it can take longer to get there compared to a guy. So, and call me selfish, but let's start with the lady, because a guy, I feel like sometimes a guy
it's
can
a
take
one-way
a shorter
track.
time. Yeah. So if we start with you first and then the lady second, chances are that lady might not enjoy the experience. But anyway, that is past what I wish I knew. But what about you? What's another point that you have?
This is not what I wish I knew about it. It's something that I realized. I like them when they moan.
We are here to talk about everything.
Guys, it's okay to moan. It's sexy. Yeah, so that's what I realized in the process. Yeah, it's nice. It's like it's a good feeling to know that you're also in this with me.
Like it's an affirmation. Leah is trying to say something.
So yeah, it's a good one. It's good.
Yeah.
Like, just express. Like, we are both going through something. So
We
the
are
way I'm
going through
vocal about
something.
it, it's okay for you to be vocal about. You don't have to moan. You can say if someone is into that dirty talk,
They
be my
can
guest.
talk,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's part and parcel of the process. So
Yeah.
si unakaa hapo ngumu.
I know mtu amenyamaza tu. Then
You're not even talking.
the only indication that the person is there is just that sound.
Yeah, and then they're looking at you like this.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good one.
So yeah, be vocal. Being
Yeah.
vocal is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I mean, unless of course your partner does not like it. But if you actually, now this all ties down into the compatibility aspect, the dating aspect. Once you know what you like, and then maybe I'm a touch person, and then the guy is a touch person. Like, there's that compatibility. So if you're vocal, and I tell you I like that, you're vocal. Yeah,
I agree. And it's not just because you might date somebody who likes sex a certain way. I feel like it's also important for you to be open-minded when you're dating somebody, especially on things around sex, right? Because I might like certain things, and then I need to be able to tell you, yes, we have great sex, but this is also something I think, this is something I enjoy, and I think we should try it out. So having somebody you can actually tell, I like it when you talk to me this way, or when you say certain words, or when you spank me, or when you do certain things, right? I think that comfortability of being able to say that is really, really important. And I think tying it into what I wish I knew is that your preference in sex, or how you enjoy sex, if just because it's different from what you've seen on TV, or what you've seen, or what like you've had conversations around, doesn't invalidate how you enjoy sex, because we are not the same. Some of us, we like to be held a certain way, unataka kufungwa, kupelekwa sijui wapi. So that experience is valid, and if it's how you enjoy the experience, then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, what you're chasing, if you can only get it that way, please just do it that way. Don't complicate life. So I wish I knew things around that, like my experience around sex and intimacy doesn't have to be a copy of what I've seen on TV or anything around that. It's okay with my own experience, and having somebody who appreciates that is very, very important.
Yeah.
So that you don't have somebody shaming you sexually. They are shaming you. You know how I think it would be very traumatic. Imagine you're in the process, and then they tell you something like, don't say that, I don't like it when you say that. And then they still want to continue.
It's a complete turn off.
So I think compatibility really plays a role, and the way you enjoy sex is not wrong. Enjoy it.
Yeah, actually, the next point that I had is in relation to that. The way you have your own experience, own your own experience. But now, from my perspective, was coming from, I read a lot, and I also read smart.
Does.
So, the experiences that are there in books, you're in a matatu, you're reading, like, this is not for this place. You're in the house, you're just standing on the bed. So,
oh my God.
I have a new appreciation for authors, because, books, they make you imagine what is happening in that other realm, because you're not here now.
Yeah.
And then you imagine what is happening, what you find hot, what you don't find hot, what you find. Even stalkers are sexy in books. That's the weird thing. But now, you find, told you, smart. I by the way, I also read self-help books. I read nutrition books. Not just that. That's just a hobby.
Your book life is like life. They're different for everything.
Yes, very. It's like a shelf. But anywho, you find the experiences that are there in the books, if you try to reanimate them now, they are not the same. So whatever you read does not necessarily equate to having a great time in real life. So that ties into what you've seen, watch you in movies, in books, and you try to reenact them in,
Like
and
you're
then they
waiting
don't
for them
work
to
for
touch
you.
you like this, and then you're like, from what you've read, it's not happening.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're waiting for them to like choke you and everything. I'm like, no, not for me.
Because right now, you don't know who is on which side. And then you're saying, choke me, you're
Choke
dead.
Takunua.
Hey, hectic.
So yeah, like own your own experiences, know what works for you, and don't just copy paste what you see out there. You can explore, find out more about what you like, what you don't like, and then that's when you know if it works for you or if it doesn't work for you. So yeah.
Okay.
You can, the other point that I have, what I wish I knew was you can be intimate with someone without having sex. You can be, you're meaning, like you'd find not everything is just like the end goal is just smashing. That is not the end goal. You can be intimate, you can be cuddling, you can have a nice session with someone without the sex
Can
bit.
make out.
You can have a conversation, you can make out, you can caress. There's a lot that's going into the intimacy aspect without the sex aspect. Yeah.
Leah is doing demonstrations. It's so hard to focus. Okay, I think I can take the next one.
Yeah.
What I wish I knew about sex and intimacy is that you can ask the bloody questions. You can ask questions about it, right? Like it's okay if you ask, like what happens, like educate yourself about sex, right? So it's not like necessarily, because I feel like these things sometimes you go blindly and then the narrative is now owned by the guy. You're dependent on the guy showing you what to do, telling you how you're supposed to do it. So your education is coming from the other person or the other guy that you're going to engage with. So I wish I knew that I could actually educate myself around sex, know what it involves and all of those things. Like just have an understanding of that experience before I even got there. Because I feel like once you give the other person, or from my experience, giving the other person the chance to own the narrative, sometimes when you're not with somebody who really cares and values you in that experience, sometimes the narrative can be one-sided. Right? So it can be just about the other person and not about you. And because you don't have an understanding of even your body and things like those, you're just there. So yeah, that's something I wish I knew.
So that ties into sex education for girls.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Like knowing what is there anything like a G-spot? What is like the clit, nipples, like how does your body function during sex? What happens?
Yeah.
What are some erogenous areas that maybe you don't know because maybe this is your first experience doing it, but what are some of the areas where that pleasure, you can get pleasure if you do a certain thing. So yeah, that's something that is on the list of I wish I knew.
It's actually weird how the female body is not as known by everyone. Female reproductive system is not as known, as common as the guy's reproductive system.
You feel like it's just because the guy, it's not complicated. I don't know if this is a bias, but I feel like for guys, there's not a lot of like complication because it's just the one thing, and you can understand it's just maybe they're sensitive, maybe shingo or maybe the nipples. Like it's not a lot. I feel like it's not a lot, but for women,
there is a lot for guys. Just
Really?
because we don't know it does not mean it's not there. But now for the women, like more people are more explorative towards the guy than the women. That's why sometimes you'll find you've lived for over 25 years and you didn't know a certain information about your body, even you say the G-spot, what works for you, what does not work for you. It takes a longer time for even us ladies to understand what our bodies or what we want compared to the guys. But
And that's why
it is changing.
It's good to explore.
It's good to explore, yes. And it's
Yeah.
also changing because there's now sex education right now. It's like parents are more open-minded. There's a reel I saw yesterday. There's a reel I saw yesterday that we are the last generation to have parents who don't know a lot about the internet, working the phone, working what. The future kids will have the Gen Z parents will be like, what do you want? What did that boy do? What is that? Or everything would be already documented, so it would be free to like talk about them.
Maybe it's also because like sometimes we think even talking about sex doesn't feel very comfortable.
True.
Right? So maybe it's also like I appreciate that maybe there's some education around it, but I wish that happened especially from home.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like when my younger sister would ask, nilizaliwa aje, like how do they. I remember the narrative ilikuwa supermarket, like tulienda tu tukakubai kwa supermarket.
Kila mtu alinunuliwa.
So like there's a lot of shame or like there's a taboo around speaking about sex that is not serving. It's not serving because you end up having the first experience that you have, the narrative there, and that brings me back to my original what I wish I knew. The narrative there is more owned, especially for women. Especially for women, the narrative is now owned by the guy. And if you're youngies and you're both like say in school, even the guy doesn't know like a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going in there and you're
going in blind.
Both of like, how do you know where the thing should be going to? Even get injured.
We should have gotten a guy to come here.
Right? So like these are things that I wish we could have been told. Like when you ask, like use child language, and then as somebody advances, you start now using language around it, proper language around it. So that ukitoka nyumbani unajua this goes here, and that's the result of this going here is yes. So and then there's also like staying in a relationship. Like let's say you've had you've been in one relationship and you've done sex a certain way. If you and your partner are not open-minded enough to explore, you might have a similar experience of sex throughout your whole life, and maybe it's not even something you enjoy, but you can't. Ebu imagine ukisema ati niliachana na yeye, ama telling your mom ama your aunties by the tuliachana kwa sababu the sex was not sexy.
Yeah.
Right? It feels weird. Like you would look for a very different story to kind of like cover it up. So I feel like sometimes these experiences, if we were educated, if we were told this is what happens to your body, if we were told you are allowed to experiment and explore until you find something that fits. I think kuna vitu zingine hatungepitia, ingetusave a lot. But anyway,
well,
I digress.
What I wish I knew was foreplay is not a competition.
Yeah.
It's key. So it can, like, it's not 5 minutes before the finish line. Shyness still. There's stigma around having sex conversations. Yeah. But it's not 15 minutes before. It can happen 24 hours, like even 12 hours before. Even the small, like you've sent flowers, you've sent the I love you text, you've sent the tiny, tiny touches, the caresses that you have in the day, the spanking. No, this is foreplay. It builds up the tempo to, like, it should be explosive when you actually have sex. Now,
and I feel like for what men don't understand is how simple things are actually foreplay.
True. Right? Very true.
So just simple things, like when he takes out the trash, you're like, when he's there doing dishes, you're like, like the simple mundane things
Yeah.
at foreplay. Foreplay, I think even for me, it's not about, okay, let's now start caressing and CG doing what. Maybe when I see like my person in a suit, I'm like,
Ready to go.
Tatoka job sangafi. So yeah. Anyway,
So it actually makes sense because it's sex is usually a culmination of what has happened before.
yeah, yeah.
So you have to start the foreplay from not just 5 minutes before because I'm not like it's just prepare the mind. Um, so the question I have is
I don't like it when you ask questions, but continue.
the question I have is what if foreplay still? What if they are so into the foreplay and it is to compensate for what they lack?
Ooh,
Well, I've had an experience before,
that
and
is a good one.
and if there was Jesus Christ, this is live. This is my experience on so. So I had a similar experience before, though I stopped it before it happened.
You stopped it before it happened.
Yeah.
You are like, no, this is too long. You're
No.
readying me too long. This marination, you're over marinating.
Not really. You know how okay, foreplay is a two-way traffic. It's both sides.
Yeah.
In as much as it's more for the lady because you're trying to get her into the mindset, into the space of actually having sex with them.
So what happened?
I kind of read the inexperience in the foreplay.
We'll just say,
Honey, if I tell you to caress me, I don't mean this.
they're like,
I know. Yeah, mimi si pasi.
Yeah.
Mimi si nguo unapaka tu
true.
juu. Mimi si nguo unapasa juu.
yeah.
I mean, if I ask,
Made me remember something.
no one.
You know how when they say, when guys are trying to give you good sex, sometimes they think it's just about the clit. So they're just there doing.
Kwani unazima stima?
Bako uko like, boss. I think
Wrong place.
calm down.
Or it's a knob. Don't just see switch.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so weird. But it's such a weird experience. I think
is.
there's a time I was like, I think that stop, it's going to fall off. Like there's nothing going, there's nothing happening. Like it was such a bad experience when I was like, just I get it, but
You get it?
yeah, I understand what you're trying to do. I
Yeah.
don't know why you think it's working. Because I'm talking right now, I'm talking to you. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I think it's not working the way you're doing it.
Actually, guys should just be taught on what to do.
And I think actually, great point, because you know there's shame around you showing a person how you want the person to do what you want them to do. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have come to value is that it's okay to show them, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I appreciate. Like I can say, I like to be touched this way and demonstrate and tell them, when you do this, I enjoy it. When we do this, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if you were to do it a certain way, I think it would be even more enjoyable. Let's try. And then if they're like, they don't know how to do it, demo. There are toys out there you can use to demo. You can use your hands or anything. Just, I think it's something that I wish I was that confident in doing. Even in my earlier experience.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So some of the things that we got online, just going through them real quick. Somebody who said what they wish they knew about sex and intimacy is that it can wait.
True.
Which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hype around sex, especially when you're like a teenager, and it doesn't always
Actually,
lead to the expectation.
When I was in high school,
yeah,
there was this. I was in Form 2. I was in the same dorm with these Form 4s. So I was very curious, by the way. You'd find we had triple deckers, all the dynamics. Anywho, so there was a form 4 who was in the bed below me. I was in the Yakachikati. So she and her friends, they were like, "Oh, sex is good. Sex is very good. You should try it." She was a virgin. She'd never even thought of it before. So that time, kufukuzwa fee. Kufukuzwa fee. She went home. She didn't go home. She went to the boyfriend's to smash for the first time because of that pressure from the girlfriends. And then she comes back and is like, "Gina, you don't know what you're missing." I'm like, "No, thank you." No, so yeah, I do get it. Like, it can wait. Don't necessarily have to like go out there because someone said go and then you run. No, just wait. Your time is your time.
Somebody said, I wish I knew that intimacy should happen effortlessly, not planned or forced.
Now that goes up to the timetable.
Yeah. But I think whatever works
Yeah.
for like planning, but forced.
No forced, no.
Hey, that's a whole other animal.
Yeah.
It should never be forced.
No, it should never be
And
forced. That's
no is no.
That's actually an offense.
Yeah. Hey. Anyway. Another one said, what I wish I knew about sex is that you owe no one sex. You should do it because you want to do it.
That's true. Like,
Amen.
you buy someone flowers and you expect something in return. You don't want to pay the bill because you expect something at the end of the date. No.
Told you to bring business here. Very true. Somebody says it's a two-way traffic. I think we talked about it.
Yeah, it is reciprocal.
Yeah, reciprocal. And then there's another that says it's not all magical. You might encounter some horrible experiences. Come on, you are.
Naive.
I know.
Oh my God.
That said, as a woman, you should also enjoy sex.
Yeah. Preach.
Yeah.
To reach.
Totally agree. And I think we can stop at that one. As a woman, you should also enjoy sex. And I feel like it speaks to just how much there's shame attached to a woman exploring her sexuality.
Yeah, that's where the label of slut comes in. And
yeah,
it's
like if a guy sleeps around, they're gaining experience.
Yeah,
if a lady sleeps around,
you're losing your value, apparently. No, they should not. Like, it's okay for a lady to enjoy sex.
Yeah, and to explore.
To explore by yourself or with someone, it's also valid.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So that was a very comfortable conversation, as always.
Not.
We try to have very comfortable conversations, and I think it was needed. And I think this is something we should do more of, because I think it also gives people voices and allows them to have the courage to talk about it, to talk about sex.
Yeah.
Right? And this is also something that hopefully, even for us, once we start bringing humans into the world, we will do a better job of educating them about sex and their bodies and what happens, so that, because they can go out there and get a bad narrative around it, and then somebody might get harmed, somebody might force sex on you and you don't know that
it's wrong.
It's crazy. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, watching. If you have anything you'd like to share around what you knew about sex and intimacy, please share. We'd love to know. And we'll of course share it across our socials. Follow us across all our social media pages. We_r_feel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, and we will see you on the next one.
Toodles.